especially for coaches that have younger players, and this is where I think this comes into play even more so with, makes it easier with younger players nowadays, is watching older players, because understanding that we didn't have basically any science behind some of the best pitchers in the history of baseball. Some guys we grew up watching and not really understanding why they looked the way they looked, but it worked and they stayed healthy, right? So 2 Hall of Famers that we're going to talk about real quick. One of which, Randy Johnson. If you watch Randy Johnson, he is 100% an aerial mover and a horizontal mover. So if you see the scap load behind him, therefore he can throw into that low slot. The aerial movement part, he's in the balls of his feet. He's landing in the balls of his feet. He's pushing off the dirt. So the way we were taught when we were young, or most of you, where you do push, you are actually literally pushing if you're in the balls of your feet. Nolan Ryan, more of a terrestrial mover. You'll see his butt really far behind his heels. You'll see that vertical shin that, biomechanically speaking, we think is the perfect way. That was the perfect way for his lower half to move. But biomechanically speaking, for Nolan Ryan, he would not have enough scap load. Or as well, he would also not lead leg block well enough. But as we all know, because we're smart coaches, we would never tell Nolan Ryan to do anything different, because he was Nolan Ryan. And he struck out everybody in the world, and he pitched forever, and he never got hurt. Thank God we didn't have biomechanics labs back then, because he probably would have went, and then we would have broke him. He would have probably thrown 105 instead of 102, but then we would have broke him, and then we wouldn't have Nolan Ryan. A couple differences between an aerial mover and a terrestrial mover. So if you're watching these 2 guys, and they're completely different, one's a 5th-year senior, one's a freshman. The kid up top, the thing he is starting to try to understand now is that he can add more tempo moving down the mound. He does not have to or want to hip hinge the way we discuss it. We want him to basically, he's still going to load, but he's going to load more into the balls of his feet. So something that we've started to talk about now is using their upper body to use that weight to go into the ball of their foot, because it seems to be a little bit easier cue for most of our aerial guys. For terrestrial, typically it's sitting into their butt, maybe their hamstring, basically the muscles that Coach was talking about that we want to use as a terrestrial mover. It does not mean that terrestrials will not have any tempo. They do not have to necessarily sit over top of the rubber. Some may, more than others, but they definitely will not move as fast as an aerial mover. If they do, they'll be out of control, their arm won't catch up, and then we're running into other issues. All right, so